Hello, wild ones, and happy Monday to you. I would like to welcome any of the new subscribers, and I apologize I haven't been uploading very regularly. I guess I tend to get into things a little bit slow. I'm a bit of a late bloomer. And so let's check out today's shirt, shall we? Our planet, there's two. National Animal Rights Day campaign, many of you may be familiar with. We're a group of most likely vegans, for the most part at least, are standing holding, in some places, an actual body of a deceased animal that was otherwise going to be used for someone's dinner plate. We didn't do that here in Victoria. We held up photos. There is some talk that perhaps next year we will do a demonstration with actual real animal bodies. I'm not sure about that. If that might be a little too intense for myself, but nevertheless, that's today's shirt. National Animal Rights Day. I believe it was June 4th. So check that out. And you might see a little bit of grass in my video. This is my newest flat of wheatgrass. Okay, so actually it's my second newest. So this is just about ready to juice here. I really love growing my own wheatgrass and juicing it. And I'll get my other flat here. This one is a little bit behind that one. And so that's my wild child wheatgrass that I like to drink. I certainly don't drink it for the taste, but my body responds beautifully to it. It seems to be a panacea for myself. And so that's why I'm growing it. And we can talk more about that in this video, because today's video is going to be, I'm just going to talk a bit more about my eating disorder that I suffered for 6 years. And heck, I will consider even before that 6 years of bulimia eating disordered years as well, because I was an overeater, a compulsive eater, an emotional eater. And I'm ready to bring that out to the open now and discuss that in public with people, in hopes that maybe, what has helped me might be of help to someone else. I'm not going to try and play doctor or feel like I've got the answers. I certainly don't feel like I'm in a position to help somebody through an eating disorder, because it is so complicated. I made my way through in my own weird way, and I'm happy to share that. And so let's get into it, okay? Let's see. Up until the year 1995, I was an overeater. I had so much emotional issues around food. I could never seem to get enough food. I thought I always had to have something animal-based in every meal that I had. I didn't feel like I had eaten a substantial meal if it didn't have meat in it. And that didn't work for me. I would run and run and run. I would get up to running 12 kilometers as a teenager and still couldn't shed the pounds. I was hearing comments. I got comments from people that I was getting fat. Even my mother was commenting on how big my butt was getting. Just casual, walking up the stairs, she would comment as she walks behind me saying, "Oh, see, you're getting quite the butt on you there, hey kid." And I got a lot of those comments from different directions, and they were always annoying. And I didn't even know then about high carb, low fat, or high fat, low carb. I didn't know about any of that. I just thought I had to eat animals. I thought I needed cow's milk products for calcium, for strong bones, and that's how I would justify eating my coffee crisp bar. I'd look on the ingredients list. I didn't even realize, looking back, as a teen, I read the ingredients list. I was curious, what goes into this? What's in this? And I would see skim milk product or modified milk products, and I would say to myself, well, I need milk for calcium. There's my dairy. I need good strong bones. So that helped me to justify a lot of the junk food that I was eating, a lot of the chocolate bars and such. And I actually worked at McDonald's as a teenager and Wendy's, and I ate all that stuff, and I did come to like it, but I still felt uncomfortable knowing that I was chewing on an animal's body parts. Even then, like back when I was a teenager, when I didn't know anything about animal rights issues or ethical issues around eating animals, I didn't have any of that information. I didn't feel good. Even as a 9 and 10-year-old child, I just never felt good eating animals, I remember. And I remember being fed filet mignon, and I was told that was high, I don't know, I guess it was really expensive. Only like high class, high society people ate that. But I never felt, I was conflicted. I never felt good about any of it. Perhaps some of the childhood abuses that I experienced at home and at school contributed to some of this, the insecurities of, also there was a part at play where I realized people were expressing jealousy toward me, and I didn't want them to feel jealous, so I allowed myself to gain some weight. And that happened in my teens, and I was in part consciously doing it, and in part still wanting to lose the weight, and I was struggling with it because I wanted to reclaim what I had lost, and my health was going down the drain. I wanted to reclaim that, but I didn't realize it was my health so much. I just wanted to look like the girl on the cover of the 17 magazine, and I couldn't figure out why there was a whole population of girls that looked normal. They were thin, but they seemed to have looked normal, and I didn't know what I was looking at. I was looking at, in some cases, maybe good health, and maybe in other cases with those models, very poor health, but just really good genetics. I just wanted that. I didn't care what it took. And in 1995, I finally learned how to throw up. And I started binging and purging several times a day. It was very isolating, and I spent a lot of time in my room just pigging out and finding any washroom. If I was out in the public, I would just find a private washroom if I could to throw up. I didn't want to throw up in washrooms where there were other stalls and other people could hear, but sometimes that was the case. And I just would try and do what I had to do when there was no one else in the washroom, I guess. It was a miserable existence, and it was very depleting, and I ended up losing a tooth, and I'll show you. Here. I never got anything done from the dentist. I went once in 1998 to the dentist, and I think I paid about $100 for just a basic checkup. And they told me I was going to need a root canal. I didn't have that kind of money. I didn't have any money for a root canal. I suppose if I had learned how to save my money, I could have, but that kind of saved me. Not having the money for the dentist actually was a bit of a blessing in disguise, because I did study some herbal medicine and how to just holistic wellness. I learned enough to keep myself away from the doctor and the dentist. So I never went for the root canal, and I'm actually glad I didn't, because I met some people that had a root canal done, and it ruined them. It ruined their face, and they had to keep going back to the dentist for repairs and getting caught up and all that, and that was just a lot of money and a lot of pain as far as I could see, and I'm just grateful that I found an alternative, which was probiotics. In fact, in particular, the dairy-free probiotics took the tooth infection away. I had a nasty abscess, a lump on my gums. My tooth I was in excruciating pain in 1998 with that tooth. And I read up about clove essential oil, that it could help the toothache. So I tried that, and I was just such a noob and really didn't know what I was doing. And I put the clove essential oil, just dropped it in my mouth on the tooth as best I could. And of course it got everywhere, and it got all around my lips here, and it started to burn. So that burning did take my mind off the toothache. But then I marched myself into a supplement store in Winnipeg, Manitoba, started on some probiotics, and with subsequent trips back to the health food store, they asked me if I've ever tried a dairy-free probiotic, because the probiotic helped a lot, but it didn't quite take it all away. And it was when I jumped on a dairy-free probiotic that the pain and the tooth infection was finally polished off and went away, and I was crying tears of joy. I couldn't believe it. I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, I know, but yeah, from 1995 to 2001, I was in the habit of binging and purging, and I am lucky that I survived that. And I'm lucky that the tooth that I lost was a tooth back here and not one of my front teeth. I want to discourage anybody from that kind of behavior. It did initially help me lose, that is, admittedly, I will say that is how I lost my initial 40 pounds, 35 to 40 pounds. I fluctuate a lot. And however, I did learn how to keep it off in a more healthy way. I became vegan in 2001 when I was done with the bulimia. The bulimia was from 1995 till 2001, and then I became vegan in 2001. August 30th in particular. I think I made a video about that, about my anniversary. And so things started to repair a lot in 2001. And I even tried doing some repairs during the 6 years I was bulimic. I learned about supplements and herbal remedies, and I was using those, but I was still throwing some of those supplements up because it was such a struggle. I wanted to be healthy, but I just didn't want to be fat so bad, because I could see that's where I was headed. I could see that's genetically what I'm predisposed to, with all due respect. And one other tool that helps me a lot that I would like to share, and I know I have 1 or 2 new subscribers, and welcome, and thank you, and I'd like to check out your channels as well. This book right here, Anita Johnston, Eating in the Light of the Moon. How Women Can Let Go of Compulsive Eating Through Metaphor and Storytelling. This book helped me a great deal, and more over the years. I read it once, but I still hung on to many of the messages in the book that helped me. And she does have a PhD, and I looked her up on YouTube. You can see her speaking in videos on YouTube, and she lives in Hawaii when I checked this book last. Let's see here, I'll just share with you a little bit of interesting things from the book that I found helpful. Rather than experiencing and expressing our feelings, we are taught to reject and control them because they are irrational. Instead of honoring our dreams and intuitions, we ignore and ridicule them because they are not logical. Rather than trusting our bodies to inform us when we are in need of physical nourishment or stimulation, we follow elaborate diet plans and rigid exercise regimes. We look to facts and figures and disregard our gut reactions when attempting to validate our perceptions. Consequently, when your inner feminine says, "I'm lonely," the masculine insists that you have no reason to feel that way. When you have a thought-provoking dream, your masculine laughs at it or dismisses it as only a dream. It's only a dream. When you are upset with a friend's behavior, you tell yourself that you are just too sensitive. That's a big one. That's a big one. That's what this book touches on a lot, is that people with eating disorders are constantly, or maybe not constantly, but quite often are told that they are just too sensitive. And there's another one here. When you feel hungry, you criticize yourself for eating too much. That right there. There's one thing right there. That I've really learned a bit about, a little bit anyhow. When we're taught to eat animals, and when we're told that it's healthy to eat animals and that we have to, and our body is giving us the opposite message, it can be very, very confusing. And because the animal foods happen to be very high in fat, we will just store that fat. And it's not our fault. We were taught one system, but our body is trying to tell us the truth. Like, this isn't working. This is why you are sick with congestion. This is why you have no energy. This is why you're getting fat. You're gaining weight. And that didn't help at all. I'd eat it. It didn't take much animal foods. And I was eating, before I was vegetarian at all, I was eating any kind of food except liver. I never liked liver. Or fish. I quit eating fish when I was about 7 years old, 8, something like that. And it didn't take much, and I would gain a lot of weight for eating just a small amount. And that very quickly caused a lot of chaos inside my head. And when I learned the truth, I was outraged. When I learned that animals aren't food at all, and like, to hear that is one thing, but to apply it and receive the benefits really, really shows you just how much of a grand scale we've been lied to on. So now I've learned eating vegan, not just vegan, but high carb, low fat, whole food, plant-based. You can eat large volumes of food. I've always been a big eater. I love to eat food. Maybe it's a Taurus thing. I don't know. But I love the way I'm eating now. And eating larger volumes of food is the key. And it's eating large volumes of the whole foods, rice, beans, fruits, vegetables, unprocessed. As processed as it gets, as I would put it in through the juicer or the blender. And I still like to eat highly processed foods that are packaged up. And, the new vegan stuff that's coming out on the market is making it a bit of a challenge for me to not eat it. But I can still eat vegan cheesy macaroni and not get as fat as I would if it was not vegan. But this is, it's been 15 years since I've had actual real craft dinner. And then Dea comes out with their cheesy mac. I'm so addicted, with all due respect, I call it cheesy crack. I've never made jokes about that drug. That's the only joke I've ever made about that drug, because I really like that stuff. It's so good. It tastes just like craft dinner, but it's no dairy. And so today it was all I could do to not touch that. I made my wheatgrass juice, and I made my fruit veggie juice. I had a carrot, beet, apple, spinach juice, and I'm going to head on into town and gobble up a whole bunch more food. So I really enjoy the benefits today of knowing that I can still eat large amounts of food and not only not feel the guilt, but not experience the repercussions of eating large amounts of non-vegan food. Or I won't even call it food. If it's not vegan, it's not food. So that's where I'm at today anyhow, and it's working quite well. I was terrified of becoming obese for good reason. That is something that, with all due respect, runs in my family bloodline, and that's how we respond to eating animal products. And I could see myself going down that path, and I did not want that at all. So I really buckled down. I put a lot of time and energy and money into my own personal wellness, because one thing I've learned, and I learned this early on in life, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. It took an enormous amount of mental reprogramming, an enormous amount of energy, but the energy reciprocated as I gained my health back. And so now I'm happy to be where I'm at now. Of course, there's always going to be work to do, because the underlying causes of the bulimia may always still be there to a certain degree. Most of it's been dealt with, but there's still just little bits there to keep me on my toes, which is good. And so that's just a little bit in this wonderful little book here, and I'd be happy to share some more with you. I don't want to put it all into one video. I don't want to nauseate people, but I'll be happy to make another video about this very subject, my eating disorder, my vegan story, all that stuff, and more about this wonderful book that helped me a great deal. So that's it for today, guys. Until then, release your inner wild child and go vegan. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take good care. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. Have you been struggling with any eating disorders? Has anything helped you? Let me know in the comments below. I like to have a conversation going about that in hopes maybe other people can be helped. And until then, take care.